Good evening, everyone. My name is Morten. I am an alcoholic. My journey into recovery in the HIMSS program started on the 30th of September 2021. I was arrested for driving under the influence. That day would end up changing my life for the better, even though I didn't know it yet. But it would prove to be a long and difficult road. Backing up a bit, I remember the first time I drank. It was at a friend's party the summer I turned 18. I also remember that I passed out that night, only to come to a little bit later and continue drinking, and that's not normal. I also remember my parents drinking quite a bit growing up, to the point where I would avoid them and just hang out in my room many evenings. Um, After that first drink in the summer I turned 18, for the next couple of years, I didn't drink very often, but when I did, it was with one goal in mind: to get drunk. It took away my shyness and my introvertedness, and that to me felt awesome. A couple years later, when I moved to the US and started a flight school at 20, it was a party. First, it was Fridays and Saturdays, then we added Sundays, then we added Thursdays, and pretty soon, the guys in my apartment and myself were drinking daily. After finishing flight school, I moved to Florida, working as an instructor. After a short stint in Orlando, I ended up in Naples all by myself. I knew nobody. I lived by myself. So, for me, the logical thing to do was to grab 6 or 12 beers at a gas station on the way home and, uh, and drink every night. After getting married, the drinking stayed more or less daily. And when I started my airline job at a regional, it continued to be fairly steady, more or less every day, to the point where I knew where all the gas stations were, the times they did and did not sell beer, and if I would get somewhere they didn't sell it at the time I got there, I would simply carry it with me. Um, I was not a social drinker at work. I did not want to go anywhere with the crew, since I was not going to be able to drink the way I wanted to. So I mostly drank by myself in my room. That didn't stop me from doing some very stupid things, but I never got in trouble with my job or with the law, at least not yet. In 2019, I started my dream job. I started to try to keep a lid on my drinking, to reduce or stop while at work, but I couldn't really do that. I kept drinking fairly heavily at home on a daily basis. Then COVID hit, and I didn't have to go to work. I still got full pay, and that's when it got really bad for me. That's when I started drinking earlier and earlier in the day, and eventually I had to drink in the morning to cure my withdrawal symptoms. In the summer of 2020, we moved to Georgia, to a town where you can get everywhere on a golf cart, so booze cruises became the norm. And it was nothing to hop on the golf cart, beer and cup holder, and ride to the store for more. That is also where the last shred of control I had disappeared, which then led to my DUI arrest that morning of September 30th, 2021. Once my company was made aware of the arrest, I got a call from the HIMSS people there, and they convinced me, even though I argued against it, that I had no choice but to go to treatment. About 2 weeks later, I was at my first round of treatment. It was supposed to be a 5-week program, but being in total denial, even with an in-treatment relapse, I did not think that I had a problem, that it was the police officer's fault who pulled me over that I got a DUI. So I spent 11 weeks in a 5-week treatment program, just checking boxes, saying the right things so that I could leave. Upon leaving treatment, I made it exactly 5 minutes down the road before I stopped at a gas station and bought a couple of beers for the ride home. The next couple of weeks, I kept sneaking drinking around my house, but I was quickly found out. About 2 weeks after coming home, I was notified of a drug screen, a PEth test, which of course was positive. So the week following that, I was back in treatment. This time, it was a 98-day program, and as I entered, I started to believe that I did in fact have a problem that I needed to take care of. During my time in this program, I learned a lot about myself and about why I was doing the things I was doing. I also, during that time, learned that my uncle was 16 years sober, and about the hereditary nature of alcoholism, so things started making more sense to me. I started working with an AA sponsor, going through the steps. After completing this 98-day program, I started working on my aftercare requirements laid out in the aftercare contract with my airline. And this time, due to the relapse, I was on a last chance work agreement, which was really scary, especially since every item said failure to comply is just cause for termination. About 4 months out of treatment, I went to my AME to submit the package to the FAA, hoping I would soon be back to work. but my disease had other ideas. I ended up drinking a couple of beers to celebrate submitting my package, and was subsequently caught on a drug test a day or two later. This led to my airline sending me to treatment for a third time. This time, the same 5-week program as the first time around, but I also ended up with a termination letter from my dream airline. I do not blame them for that, nor do I have any resentment towards them. They did, in fact, save my life, my marriage, and my family, and I am very appreciative of that. The time after the third round of treatment was not a good one for me. I started a new job as a simulator instructor for a regional airline and was back to drinking fairly regularly, especially since I'd gotten fired, and was close to giving up on going back to flying. Ironically, I had decided to pursue a master's degree in substance abuse counseling while in treatment the last time, so I was working on that while in the middle of a relapse. This went on for a while, but in August of 2023, I had made up my mind. I was tired of fighting it, so going through an IOP, my fourth round of treatment, for those of you keeping track, I had my last drink on August 19th, 2023. I changed AMEs, and with my new guy, in the spring of 2025, we put together a now rather substantial package to send to the FAA. Finally, in May of 2025, I received 2 denial letters, one for a missing or an out-of-date psychiatric evaluation, one for a request for more information, and to redo my cognitive screening. On May 8th, 2026, the FAA finally signed off on my special issuance, and I had my medical in my hand the following Monday. This journey had taken 1,681 days for my DUI until my special issuance was approved. Much of the delay was my own denial and refusal to accept my problems. Once I accepted them and made a conscious decision to use all the tools that I had learned through several treatment rounds and through AA and surrounding myself with sober people, I was able to come out the other side of it all with a medical to boot. I'm now working on getting back to flying. I was very fortunate that I was arrested for a DUI rather than getting caught on a DOT test, which would mean that I would lose all of my licenses and ratings, something which I am pretty sure would have happened if I had not gotten caught when I did. Currently, I'm just a few months away from completing my master's degree, and I've started a doctoral program in clinical psychology. I hope to be able to make some real positive changes for those pilots struggling out there still. My wife and I are also very active in Birds of a Feather, which has played a big role in my sobriety. I did not believe in AA in the beginning. I thought there had to be a logical answer, a way to think myself to sobriety. But there really isn't. I looked. No matter what your personal feelings are towards AA, just try to be open to it, take what you like, and leave the rest. Thanks for letting me share my story.